care of your cast iron skillets, they can last you and your family generations. In order to take care of our cast iron skillets, there's a few things that we have to do. You can buy pre-seasoned cast iron skillets, but I find that you still have to season them a little bit. So seasoning is the first step in getting your cast iron ready to cook on. So all we're gonna do to season our cast iron skillet, and again, I do this even if I buy the Lodge pre-seasoned, simply because I find that it makes a better cooking surface. So if you have an older cast iron skillet that has any rust or any food buildup on it, first things first, we gotta clean that off. So if you have inherited some skillets, go ahead. This is my favorite gadget for cleaning my cast iron. People use steel wool, but I find that this chain metal with the silicone mold in the middle is much, much more effective. So get rid of any food debris that you have on your cast iron skillet and get rid of any bits of dried on just gunk, because it's all got to go before we decide to season it. Now, to season your cast iron skillet, if it's new or if it's used, we're going to take an oil that has a very high smoke point. So this is avocado oil. You could use coconut oil. You could use all different kinds of things. But what you don't want to use is an oil that has a very, very strong flavor. I would not season a cast iron skillet with like a fancy olive oil. Use something a little bit less expensive. Grapeseed oil is a great option. Safflower oil is a great option. You can even just use plain vegetable oil or canola oil if you want to. So to season our cast iron skillet, you are basically going to start by working oil onto every single surface of your skillet. So that means the top, the bottom, the handle, the everything. So go ahead and don't be afraid to get dirty with it, because we're going to have to get this oil onto every single surface. And the more thoroughly that you oil your pan, the more thoroughly it is going to get seasoned. It's not actually putting flavor into the skillet. The seasoning process is what helps prevent food from sticking on your cast iron, and it also is what helps prevent your cast iron from getting rusty. So once you have your cast iron skillet really well oiled, then what you're gonna do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees and place your cast iron skillet. I don't know why, but I was always taught to place them upside down in the oven, so I've always done that. I don't know if there's any scientific reason for that, but I would always place the skillet upside down in the oven and allow it to just hang out there for the better part of a few hours. You could go 1 hour, you could go 2, you could even go up to 4. Just keep adding more oil. If the skillet ever begins to look dried out, then you will have a really nice seasoned skillet that's going to last you a long, long time. Now, when you cook with your cast iron skillets, it's really important to wash them with care. Never put a hot cast iron skillet into standing water, or never put it up under cold water, because it runs the risk of cracking the cast iron skillet, which really is just about the only way that you can destroy one of these skillets. So allow your skillet to cool completely down before you start to clean it. Now, if you have leftover food bits on it, you can always scrape those off using a slotted turner. But allow your skillet to come back to absolute cool temperature. Then you must hand wash cast iron skillets. I shouldn't say never, I very exceedingly rarely use soap on my cast iron skillets, because the iron itself is going to prevent bacteria from being able to grow on this surface. Bacteria does not grow really well in oily media as well. So as long as you are oiling your skillets after you are done washing them, you're gonna be in good shape. So always, always wash your cast iron by hand. Again, this is my favorite tool to wash the cast iron, because it really gets all the baked on debris off without causing any harm to the cast iron. Avoid using metal spatulas and slotted turners and all different kinds of metal on your cast iron because it can run the risk of scraping the surface. Honestly, metal utensils in the kitchen are kind of outdated. At this point, you should be using silicone, you should be using wood, even plastic, I think, is preferable to metal because the metal can just damage not only your cast iron, but also your nonstick skillets as well. Once you have washed your cast iron by hand, dry it thoroughly. Never ever leave standing water in your cast iron skillet because, again, it's made of iron. It will rust on you. If you find that things are sticking to your cast iron or that it's gotten a really dull color to it, remember that you need to be putting just a drop or two of oil on your skillet after you wash it each time. And if you find that it's gotten really, really dull or that you got any rust, it's time to start the whole process over and re-season your skillet.